from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance advisor for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
You just went right into it, didn't you?
Man, let's go. Let's go. I got big news today, Bradley. Breaking news. My friend, great American, been on the podcast, killed more people than cancer. My friend, Colonel Nathan Green, will be honored himself. Midfield, Alabama, Oklahoma, November the 10th in Bryant-Denny Stadium in front of 100,000 people. We're going to honor Colonel Nathan Green and his contribution to the war in Afghanistan.
Are you going?
Pretty fired up. Hell yeah, I'm going. Are you kidding me? I'm going to be down there on the track hugging his neck when he walks off the field. I'm excited. CJ, love everybody on this show today. Let's get this thing going. I'm fired up, about to flip a desk over.
Cool. Well, I'm here for it, man. I want to see all the desks get flipped. All right, guys, welcome into this support call today. Obviously, we've got some good participants here, so I'm going to kind of leave the floor open. These calls, we try to dive into, what kind of marketing stuff is going on in your agency, what are things you're working on, what's working, what's not working, and we want to hear from you guys. So I'm going to kind of turn the floor over, see what kind of questions you guys come up with, and we'll dive in and see if we can provide some answers and some clarity.
That first question is always, getting that first person to ask that first question is always the hardest.
It is tough. It is tough.
And feel free to utilize the chat too. CJ, I'll let you monitor the chat if that's cool, because it's about 6 feet away from me. And if nobody asks a question, Scott's going to take his shirt off. So we need y'all to hurry up.
Well, I don't know. I might leave everybody muted for that. No, I'm just kidding. We got Eric says he's got a question. Eric,
well,
take it away.
Let's definitely make this more interesting, and let's definitely have Scott take his shirt off, and I'll still go first and ask the question.
Don't encourage it, Eric.
So, Scott, it's super cool to actually watch this in person, because I listen to you do those intros on 1.75 speed every day driving my daughter to daycare. Yep. But I am actually kind of curious, and I guess this is a marketing question, but more like a question about your agency. What made you make the decision to have multiple office locations as opposed to just having everything through one central hub?
Great question. It is smoke and mirrors a little bit. So worked out tremendously well. And as you know, let me back up. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I really, really appreciate that.
Hey, if you've heard him on 1.75 speed, you should do half speed. He sounds drunk.
I've done that a little bit, just having fun, but anyways.
So what happened was, a couple of the offices that we have are literally people who are writing insurance, middle market, larger accounts all over the United States, doing most of that by phone. And they were people who have mean-ass kids, and just like myself, were like, I can't work at home. I'm not going to get into why we can't work at home. There's a million reasons why. Between doing dishes, folding laundry, the television's on, the dog's pissing in the floor. I could get a lot more graphic than that, but I'm not. Right. I need a place to work. So we just got a couple of my people in a very small office space, not much bigger than this podcast studio, that's 2 to 3, 4 miles from their house. And that's where they, get up in the morning, got their routine. They go to work. They work there from 8:30 to 5, get in their car, drive to, 2 to 3 miles back home. That's a few of my offices. The other offices I have typically going to have 2 to 3 people in those offices, but I've really only got about truly 2 locations that I would consider true, real deal, old school, mainly personal lines. People still come in and drink coffee locations. Does that make sense?
It makes a ton of sense. So you basically did that so that your employees could work more efficiently and they can get away from distractions.
100%. And by the way, I've heard, I don't know this for a fact because I don't work for the Hubs or the Marshes or the Gallaghers. I've heard they've started doing a lot of that where they'll go into a market, hire like a jam up all-star, 5-star commercial producer and just give him like a small little office space to go to and maybe an account manager that works somewhere else.
Awesome. Great question, Eric. I'll also add to that too. I think some of that too depends on like geographically where you are.
True.
Because like where Scott and I are, Scott can be at my office in about a good aggressive hour 45 if he really wants to get it cranking. And there are people down here that still they want to. That's a customer demographic set of like they want to come in, sit down, have coffee, do the whole thing. So I think that factors a little bit too on if you should or shouldn't have the offices. But it also helps with that SEO.
What kind of business you're writing, CJ? Like if you're still doing old school personal lines like home, auto, and you're writing a lot in that little small town you live in, you probably need to have a retail office open that people can come into and make a payment if they need to, which, if you're writing down big mid-market accounts all over the country or you're doing some kind of exotic program business, maybe you don't need to have that. But,
I think it also depends if you're considering opening an additional location. There needs to be a good business reason for it, like what he said. And also, I think from an economic standpoint, it needs to do better than just making money. Because one thing I don't think people think about, and now your ship has been a well-oiled machine for a while, but like when we had the second location that we acquired, when we closed it, and obviously it did help the bottom line when we closed it, but the biggest factor in me closing it was that I didn't feel like I had to be there. You know what I mean? Like that's what people don't think about is if you have this other location, it's like having a child that's not with you and you feel like you need to go check on them. And which in hindsight, I totally understand why Billy Wagner had the robot thing, And so that's the other thing that I don't think people think about. You're not just going to open a location and it's going to run itself and you're never going to have to go there.
Funny he asked me that question because on a podcast that's probably going to come out, may or may not come out before this one. Yeah. Yesterday, Bradley and I talked about, I'm thinking about considering closing one of my locations because that location, the type of business in that location gives me a lot of stress and I'm having a hard time keeping that office fully staffed the way it needs to be staffed. And I think we're kind of, for reasons I can't talk about today, probably going to have to keep it open. But we'd rather close it. Does that make sense, Bradley?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And also something that's worked well for our agency, our primary office is in a co-working space. And we just bought up all the suites in the co-working space. So that there's a lot of ways you can get creative on those office locations nowadays. For sure.
No doubt.
Cool. What else? Who's next? Well, I have a question. So this one is actually for Scott as well. Can you tell us a little bit, one of the things that is popular for us to talk about on these calls, and you don't have to tell the behind the scenes story of this, but Scott uses one of these AI note takers that he runs around with all the time. Yep. You see him in your Facebook timeline, every day. How do you like that? What do you use it for? And kind of share with the class a little bit about your use cases around those.
Yeah, so I use Applaud, which attaches to the back of my phone. I've actually it's actually my bag in there, but it's broken right now because of CJ. As I was texting him last week, long story short, I was on a group chat with group text message with CJ and one of my producers, Clinton Orr. Ow, God, you hit me in the nuts with it, dude. There it is right there. This Applaud. It just attaches to the back of my phone right here. But what I use it for now, this one doesn't work. It's dead. I mean, it's done. It's toast. Oh, that was yours. I'm sorry. Anyway, what I use it for is a lot of times you guys all know we have like Zoom or Google Hangout or just a phone call with a territory manager who wants to go over maybe results or talk about what's going on that quarter, that month, that 6 months. I'll usually turn it on and record for that. And then I can, once that recording's done, I hit stop and I can download that into the Plot app and I can summarize that conversation and send it out to my team directly from there. And then the other reason, this was the biggest reason I use it, is pissed off clients. So I'll have an agent call and she'll say, hey, he or she'll say, hey, Steven Johnson's about to call you and he is fired up about this damn claim. And that's a trigger for me to go, well, better turn the Plot on because we're about to go to work. And so that conversation can go in my AMS under claims phone call with Scott. And that way, when he comes back 2 weeks later and says, well, Scott said, blah, da, 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 I can go back and play that conversation for him or, just have it for E&O reasons.
Nice. That's perfect. I just was curious about that. We did have another question pop in here for you.
CJ, by the way, real quick, by the way, and Bradley probably knows more about this than I do, but I have heard that iPhone, which I'm going to guess 90% of the people on this call are iPhone people. I'm Android, but I've heard that in the very not too distant future, iPhone's coming out with a voice recording
They already have it.
app.
They already have it.
Well, then people need to start using it.
What it does is it notifies the other party that you're recording.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But it can get a little awkward.
Yeah, I understand.
Because I think with iPhone, with their recorder, you have to actually press the button to engage it. You can't have it automatically record.
Sure.
So it creates this situation. Am I right with that? Yeah, it creates a situation where you're like, hey, CJ, how are you doing? This call is now being recorded. And CJ's like, what the hell?
Right.
This guy didn't trust me. Whereas if you had it where it automatically came on every call, people would just know,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. The next question came in. It was that basically they said, hey, I know that CJ and Bradley's books of business are based around helping lenders and real estate agents. They were curious to know what your main marketing strategy is. Like, what's working for your agency right now? What are you guys using as far as marketing strategy?
So I would say the majority of ours is referrals from clients. We've never had a lot of success in my agency partnering the way CJ and Bradley have, and that's on me. I'll raise my hand and say I could probably have pulled that off pretty easily. But I would say the majority of the business we get are people who contact me that I refer to my agents, or because I don't have really anybody on my team that will make outbound sales calls because we're pretty average. Like I would say my agency force is very average, serviceable, but very average. I don't have anybody on my team that has the confidence, sales ability, or the self-confidence to make outbound calls. They're just not going to do it. And so most of the stuff that comes through to my agency is coming through Scott, or they really like the agent that they work with and they refer business that way. Now, we have picked up a couple of people from bigger agencies that have been working for us for a couple of years, so they're out of their non-compete. And I noticed the last couple of months we've picked up some pretty damn big accounts from this mammoth independent agency, largest agency in Huntsville, Alabama, really, that sold out a couple of years ago to that Higginbotham group out of Texas. But like last couple of months, we've picked up some really big accounts because those people are just, culture changes once you sell. I think people have been moved around a little bit over there, and they're like, hey, I don't like these people I'm dealing with over there anymore, and everything's changed. I want to bring my insurance to you. That kind of thing.
The other thing Higginbotham does that I've heard is if account is below a certain revenue, they basically ignore it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure some of that's going on
so
too. Yeah.
You just have people that are like, hey, I'm just a number
shuffle
on a page. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have anybody that has the sales acumen to make outbound calls.
What do you, Scott, as far as that goes, do you, I think it's worth noting, you said something there that I think for people on this call that are trying to grow their agencies, One thing that's kind of like a superpower in our industry, and something that I think a lot of younger team members struggle with, is that phone reluctancy. Do you run into that in your office where people are just not necessarily even making cold calls? I'm talking about just in general making phone calls to people. Do you see a little bit of that?
Oh, 100%. I think every agency in America has people that like that. I'll be honest with you. I sometimes feel a little bit of that when I'm making like a sales call to somebody. The last 30 seconds before I pick up the phone and call them, I can tell that my mind's trying to think of reasons not to call them, or do I know it? Just all the things that go through your head, when you're about to make a phone call. It's like a cold call. I do agree with everybody out there that anytime you can get a referral source so that it's not a true 1,000% cold call, and I don't care how you do it. If it's, CJ, you mentioned before we got on this call, you had a new referral partner that was a real estate. Even if it's, hey, we're partners with blah, 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 real estate agency, and they gave me your information, and we do a lot of work with them. Even if it's something like that makes it just maybe not a warm call, but like a little warm, like lukewarm, that's even better than just picking up the phone. And to be honest with everybody on this call, in the world we live in today, year of our Lord 2025, with the Nigerians trying to call and get me to go buy some damn Google or Apple iTunes gift cards and mail them to me, and they're going to mail me $1 million, and people scamming. I bet I've had 12 people today call me on this phone. It's been on airplane mode, but it still comes through and says spam call. People don't answer their damn phone like they used to. They just
especially with, have you seen Apple's new feature? We were talking about it yesterday in between episodes, where it answers and screens the calls for you.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, CJ?
Yeah, I actually have it turned on my phone already.
I do too. I turned it on yesterday. So basically the way it works, guys, is when a number you don't have saved in your phone calls you, an AI answers the phone. Apple's AI answers the phone, and basically, similar to, somebody in the 1800s, it's like, state your business. Not really, but it makes them state there. It's like, what do you want? And then it comes through on the screen what that person wants, and you can choose to answer the phone or like. That's going to hurt cold calling quite a bit, especially to individuals, not necessarily businesses.
Do you want me to call it again and let's play it for them?
I have your number saved, so it's not going to work.
Okay, never mind.
Quick, everyone call Bradley. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
They, and
hey,
I think there's
I've gotten 6 phone calls since we've been on here, so I don't need any more phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a marketing perspective, there are some agencies that are going to have to adjust with that.
Yeah.
Because if you're dependent on cold calling, which I know there, especially as you slide into like the captive world, like there's a lot of agencies that depend on cold calling, and as that becomes a more prominent feature, but I will say this. By default, it is turned off on the iOS 26 update, but Apple does prompt you to turn it on at some point within that experience.
Well, I think cold calling is a very good way to get from 0 to 100 really fast, but I don't know that it's a long-term solution. I think it's a gap filler. Things are slowing down. You've got a new producer that needs to get some leads in their pipeline.
It's a law of large numbers too.
And the thing about this industry, or really any business, is, that people try to find a silver bullet when it's 1,000 really small bullets. You know what I mean? Like you don't need, and it's why I don't love these guys that get on Twitter and LinkedIn and say, you need to pick one niche and you operate in that niche and that's the only niche you sell in. Like, I think you need to have multiple niches and multiple avenues that you go after in your agency, because if you just did one thing, like that's fine, but layering on other different marketing avenues, we may do a little bit of Facebook ads, we may do a little bit of referral partners, we may do some cold calling, we may do some events, but it's also not like going too deep in one area. You know what I mean? Like I hate events. My wife loves events. She loves to set her tent up at an event and get leads or whatever. It's not my thing. But last week I went to the Mobile Chamber Business Expo, big trade show, all the businesses in Mobile. And I was telling our director of sales, I was like, we probably need to do this next year, but I don't want to do it any other year after that. let's not go full bore into events, but like let's pick our spot and say it. Let's do this. Let's do this and see what happens. You know.
Hey, by the way, just to add to what I just said, so I've got a list of 4 pages of 25 to 30 manufacturing facilities. I use Leo, which is it's a lead generation system. Most of y'all probably know what it is, for business type leads. And in the next 2 weeks, I am actually myself mapping out and driving. Now, the ones I've chosen that I've green lighted are all within probably 60 miles of my office, but I'm actually going out myself and doing marketing drops. And I've already got those set up in our automation pipeline for new leads. So as I go out and do the marketing drop and hopefully get a chance to meet face to face with the person who is the decision maker, once I make that initial contact with them, once I get back to the office, I'll move them over to the next step in that pipeline. But you want to talk about some old school shit, guys? That right there is old school. That's get your ass in the car, go to a business, get out of the car, walk in, introduce yourself, and try to meet with somebody and say, hey, here's what I do. My name's Scott Howell. I'm with Cincinnati Insurance and I Protect Insurance. I'm a risk manager, and I want to write your business. You got a problem with that? If you do, we can skin off in the damn parking lot. Otherwise, let's talk about how I can help you and what kind of issues you're having. And, man, I just want the opportunity to damn quote your business, man, when you come up for renewal. Well, Scott, we're not coming up for renewal until February of 2026. Great. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to write that down right here. And January 15th, I'll come back by. How's that sound? How hard is that, CJ?
It's not hard at all, man. And people are scared to do it. You know, it's funny though. You said that's as old school as it gets. The only way that could get more old school is if instead of moving it in your CRM, which I know you use Agency Zoom, if you had those manila folders on your desk with stages, like, and you just moved it on down the pipeline there.
That's right.
But got another question came in here for you, Scott, in the chat. Scott, are your producers expected to bring in their own business, or do you provide leads?
No, that's what I was saying. My people couldn't, but no. If we did that, we wouldn't write a damn bit of insurance, because these some bitches aren't going to call nobody, and they're not going to do anything except inbound sales. So all my people are like inbound salespeople. And they will okay, they have some people that they bring in from relationships, I would say the majority of what they bring in, though, is either brought in through myself or just us being around for as long as we have, and people seeing me on social media. It was funny as CJ is every single time I post an I Protect video where I'm doing something stupid on Facebook, which is a lot, right? I get 3 or 4 phone calls from somebody. Hey, I saw your stupid ass on Facebook, man. I just thought I need some insurance on this boat, man. Can you help me out? Sure. Here, I'm gonna have Chelsea call you in about 30 minutes and let her do it. But that's mainly how we do it. I know agencies. I don't know if Bradley's this way or not. I haven't really talked to him about it lately. I know some agencies, if the lead comes from me or the lead comes from I Protect, coming in through our web portal, because we've got a pretty easy, manageable, get a quote now thing that is on the job form. You answer like 8-9 questions, and it goes to info at I Protect. Avery sends that. It also comes to me, but she sends that to the right producer, and I've helped her kind of figure out who the right producer is. I pay those people for that just like it's new business, but I know some agencies, if it's not through the producer, they don't get paid on it.
What we do is anything that is inbound to the agency that was not generated by that person goes to inside sales, our inside sales people.
So they don't get paid on it.
They get a bonus based on how many policies they write, but
if
don't
I
get
did
paid
that, none of my
commission
sons of
on it.
bitches, except for Clint, would ever get paid.
And by the way, every producer we hired, we told them that, like, hey, there's going to be a day, we will supplement you until a certain point. Because the definition of a producer is somebody that goes and brings it in, right? That's the goal. Yeah, in some agencies like David Carruthers' agency, all the producer does is introduce the relationship to the agency, and then the account manager handles everything else. The producer comes back in at the close.
Right.
But then but there's a caveat to that, in that up to a certain volume, for inside sales guys at capacity, then there's some overflow, or if there's something super complex or something like commercial, it's going to go to a producer. So it's sort of the easy slam dunk personal line stuff. And the idea is, hey, you're going to do this inside sales position for 24 months, and then you can go be a producer. That's sort of the idea. It gives them a path, because there's several people that we hired a few years ago that came straight into producing that failed miserably, that had we put them in an inside sales role first and really taught them the business, they would not have failed.
Yeah, I would say the caveat with me on all that would be Clint produces all his own business. And
yeah, he's a true producer.
But he's just answering the phone.
Yeah.
Because he's built a reputation in the industry and gets so many referrals from his clients that I would say 99% of what he writes are inbound calls to him that'll say, hey, I know you write the insurance for my friend who's a HAB guy, and I'm a HAB guy. Now, the one producer I have that probably does write most of his own stuff is Bruce Payne in Priceville, because Bruce Payne is 55 years old, grew up in Priceville, Alabama, and knows every son of a bitch in Priceville, Alabama. And so his office is more that old school State Farm. He's the insurance guy in his community. So a lot of what he writes, I'd say 80% of it is just people. Everybody knows who Bruce Payne is and went to Priceville High School. He's on the zoning board, and they know Bruce. And hell, we need insurance. Let's call Bruce.
I saw a question on there I want to answer, CJ.
Well, let me finish this thought, and then I'm gonna hit it, because I know that I already saw it. When I saw it, I was like, Bradley wants this one bad. I guarantee it. The thing, Scott, too, I think that a lot of people forget. You made the comment a second ago. You said, hey, we post these silly little videos and people will reach out. I think agents have to understand that, like, marketing is about attention, and anything that you can do to get attention to help stay top of mind helps you get business. So in those instances, yeah, might have been a silly video that he posted, but the reality is that he posted it and it hit somebody at the right time in the right way.
100%.
And if you want to grow, especially using social as a lead platform, I get agents all the time. They're like, CJ, how do I get leads off Facebook? And I go and look, and they're like, they haven't posted in 6 months. I'm like,
yeah.
Step one is post more.
Well, that goes back to recruiting too. The first thing that all of us do when we get a resume is we put the resume down and go to that person's social media. That's the same thing they're doing to you.
Sure.
So we're
not insurance agents, guys. We're media companies.
You have to make your Facebook page and your Instagram page and your LinkedIn and your personal Facebook page look like somewhere and somebody that people are going to want to work with.
That's right.
And if you're not sure because you have that bias because it's yourself, find a friend who fits in the exact avatar of somebody that you want to hire or somebody you want to do business with, and ask them to audit your social media pages for you.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Great question came in here from Iris. She said, I'm a subscriber of Referral Radar and have reached a few heavy producing loan officers. And just a caveat quickly there, for those of you that aren't familiar with Referral Radar, it's a data product that allows you to see and connect with real estate agents and loan officers that shows their real-time data, et cetera, on their actual business that they're doing. She said, 2 have gone radio silent on me, but 1 I did have lunch with, and she is putting me into rotation. I did send a thank you card and are trying to think of ways to stay in communication with her without being a pest. Do I pop in her office, make regular lunches? What do you guys do? Is that the one you're looking for, Bradley?
That's actually not, but I'll answer that one too.
Okay, take it.
So, given that context, I would like to know what happened with the 2 that went radio silent. I think we overthink the whole being a pest sometimes thing, because you have to remember that you are helping them, right? The two that went radio silent on me, I would probably go into Referral Radar and see how many loans or deals they've done since then. It might be that they haven't done any, right? Like the lender world especially is very dependent upon that person. If they go on vacation or they have something happen in their family or somebody's sick, they're not going to do any loans typically, right? So I would look and see what kind of activity, and I would find a couple of addresses that they've done recent loans on since you've made that contact, and reach out and use this as an excuse. Reach out and say, hey, I'm just like morbidly curious, who insured 123 Main Street? I saw that you did that one. And use that as an excuse to call. I'm just doing some market research. Oh, okay. Well, just so you know, like we would have crushed it on that one too. Like I always talking about the phone call reluctance, like Scott, I always look for another excuse to reach out other than the thing I'm actually calling for. You know what I mean? It makes it a little easier. For the one that you are having the rotation, you don't want to be a pest. A, I wouldn't worry about being a pest. B, if you are worried about being a pest, I would do something like kind of memorable, something that's like a wow factor, like maybe a really cool gift or something that makes them laugh. You know, one time I sent a lender, there's a company called, I think it's haveaball.com. I think we've talked about this on the call, but you sent them a big beach ball that's like not wrapped. It's just so the mailman comes walking in with a bit, something like that. That's just like funny, something, or try to provide some kind of value. Maybe it's, hey, I'd love to come buy your team lunch, or to something where it's like not annoying, but you're making yourself memorable. But also I really wouldn't worry about being a pest. I mean, if you're not calling them every single day, you're not being a pest.
For sure. I'd also make the argument of like, you need to zoom out a little bit on what you're thinking there. What she said was, I had 3 really high producing lenders that she reached out to, and one of them is putting her in the rotation. That's a 33% hit.
Yeah, well, that was actually the first thing I thought because I read that question before you asked it. I reach out to more people. Like you got to get more people.
Yeah,
I think the guy that did my home loan, like back when the interest rates were 3%, who's a dear friend of mine. His name's Willie Tucker with Freedom Financial. Like, he's never sent me any business. And I could get ass hurt about that if I want to, but he was like, when we started talking about it, he's like, hey, dude, let me just throw this at you. My best friend since I was about 4 years old is an insurance agent, and I send him all my stuff. And I'm like, okay, have at it, big boy.
Does he want to sell his agency?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what he told me.
Why don't you talk Willie into...
My point is, like, not every real estate agent that you or mortgage person that you speak to is going to like send you business. Like CJ said, 33%. I like hitting them with I had this idea I wanted to run past you.
Right.
Or go to one of these funny, like a UPS store has those funny cards, and find one with an ape on it and say, and right inside of it, hey, I found you on a card, just thinking about you. Call us if you got a home, like a homeowner policy, we can write for you. See you. Yeah. Something funny, something hilarious.
The other thing I've done before too, some of you may remember this. I found a company here that did etching, and they would etch like, leather and stuff, like the laser etching, you know what I'm talking about? And I called the girl and I said, hey, could you etch a cheesecake? And she's like, yeah. And so I bought cheesecakes. Actually, it wasn't cheesecakes.
Put their face on it?
It was sweet potato pie. Oh. And I etched a message or something with like their logo and gave it to them at Thanksgiving. And I even had one guy that he complained, it was a customer, customer/friend. He complained to me one time that I didn't let him know that his bill was due, his renewal. And he was a month off. It didn't renew for another month. So when it came time for his renewal to actually happen, I took a photocopy of the actual invoice and got this girl to laser etch it into a cheesecake. And I delivered him his renewal bill on a cheesecake. As a little like funny, like poking fun at that situation. But yeah, what I would do with Willie is I'd be like, hey man, look, I know that guy is your buddy. Hey, if there's ever a deal that he can't help you on, or it just doesn't seem right, just run it by me. I'll take a look at it. We won't have to tell him anything.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get in. And also like making yourself valuable and known in the community for what you're good at. So while we were on the last podcast we were recording, I had a Keller Williams agent text me, and I don't know about where you guys are, but Keller Williams notoriously do their sales meetings, and they'll bring a vendor in, and that vendor always pay to speak. I've never paid to speak. And while we were on the last podcast, this agent texted me and was like, hey, would you mind coming in to our meeting and talking about AI? I'm like, sure. I'm not talking about insurance, but that meeting is going to be more well attended by me talking about AI than it would be if I'm in there. Hey guys, let's talk about flood insurance today. Right. But I guarantee you at the end of it, there's going to be people asking about flood insurance and that sort of thing. So it may be A, making yourself that resource in your community, or B, you just reach out and say, hey, I learned this cool AI trick, or I learned this cool marketing trick, or I learned this cool whatever. I'd love to come talk to your agents about it. 10, 15 minutes, no big deal.
No, perfect. Next question was, and I think this kind of circled back to the sales agent or the sales question. Sales agents, 1099 or W-2?
Shit, 1099.
All right.
I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Let me tell you a story. So, I don't know about other states, but I think most states are similar to Alabama. In Alabama, there's 27 points.
Yep.
27 metrics or KPIs that you have to meet in order to legally qualify as a 1099. Okay. I hired a producer one time that left an agency and came over to me. That agency had this producer as a 1099. They did not meet all of the KPIs. Okay. So that agency threatened to sue the producer and threatened to sue me. All right.
For leaving non-compete stuff?
Correct.
Yeah, which I didn't have anything to do with it, but they were throwing me in there thinking it would scare me. It actually made me excited. My attorney, who's working for free, reached out and threatened to sue them back for 8 years of back payroll taxes that this producer paid because the employer was supposed to pay it. It magically went away.
Yeah, so fast.
So if you don't want your people ever holding anything over your head, I would not do 1099. A few of the points are, one, you cannot tell them when to work, and you cannot provide them with any equipment. That's usually the two that really get you. Yeah. The way a lot of the real estate companies and people get around the equipment thing is they charge them like a desk fee, $100 a month. But personally, I like W-2 because A, I don't have to worry about my employees not paying their taxes and them being in a spot, right? It's for their benefit. And then B, it gives us a little bit more of a safety net, a little bit more control under that regard. Because in my opinion, the only reason you make them 1099 is to avoid payroll taxes or the pain in the butt that it is payroll, but it's worth doing it. And also, in my opinion, it makes your agency less valuable if you have a bunch of 1099 contractors, because when you go to sell that agency, whatever, and here's the thing, all businesses end one of two ways. Every business in the world ends one of two ways. They either go out of business or they sell. And now you may be thinking, well, Bradley, like, what about like Google? Google went public. That's selling, right? So whoever buys your company is more than likely going to look at it negatively that you have 1099s, and B, they're going to want those 1099s to go W-2, and that's going to cause a problem because they're going to feel like they have to take a pay cut because now taxes are coming out, so they're taking home less. They're not going to be happy with the acquisition, or B, that company is going to pay you less because now they have to pay that employee more to account for the taxes coming out. That way they don't have a bad taste in their mouth. So I just think there's way too many negatives 1099. And then you also get into, it's a little bit of a gray area with like E&O and stuff like that. Like you really have to check with your E&O agent. If you're on this call right now or listening to the podcast and you have 1099 producers, I would call my E&O agent or my E&O company right now and make sure they're covered.
Hey, Bradley, do you think the more 1099s you have, the higher the likelihood is you get audited by the IRS?
I don't know. Maybe.
My favorite thing is when we're in the Facebook groups and I see people being like, hey, I'm thinking of hiring my first 1099 employee.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Or they say, I'm thinking about hiring my first to produce. Yeah. So one agency that we did buy, CJ, their literal employment contract started with, "You will be a 1099 employee." That was the first words, first sentence. I'm like, well, an attorney definitely didn't review this. But my favorite is, I'm thinking about hiring a producer. We're going to send them in all of our inbound leads. I'm like, that's not a producer. That's inside sales. Anyway, all right, we got time for like 2 more quick questions.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Had somebody ask if we'd ever heard of he said, I was telling a lending referral partner about Referral Radar and how to use it. He mentioned that he used a program called Remine to really dive into properties that we might find in Referral Radar. Not had a chance to research it yet, but curious if anybody has any experience with it. That's not one that I'm familiar with. Bradley, are you familiar?
No. And CJ and I are looking at possibly developing more features and building more features to add on. So feel free to shoot us any ideas you have, not right now, but down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a quick plug on that for those of you that are writing a lot of personal lines insurance. Actually, I guess really commercial as well. I use an app called Land ID that I really, really like. It pulls up all the flood maps for the property, ownership, all the data, all in one interface. You can see some really cool stuff there. That's my personal favorite. Following up on, I guess we got time for about one more. There we go.
Somebody ask a live question.
Yes, let's. Anybody want to hop on for a live question?
You can hear your pretty voice on the podcast in
I was going to add to the loan officers.
Yeah, take it away, Steve. Go ahead.
Teach them. Why is your policy $1,200 and somebody else's is $1,000? Because we're not giving minimum coverages. We're giving good coverages. Explain it to them. Because remember, that loan officer refers somebody and you have a problem on that insurance policy when they have a claim. Who are they going back to? The loan officer. But explain why yours is better and different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a process built around that on the education piece, because you're right. They will go back to whoever referred them to us if there's or they'll go back to who referred them. Is kind of
the thing is too, people tend to stick with what's familiar. It's why, and I'm sure some of you have dealt with this. Almost every producer we've ever hired or every employee we've ever hired that has lender relationships, they always brag, I have all these lender relationships, and then only about 40% of those come with them, because people are used to what's familiar. So I think, like, back to Iris's question, like, you have to kind of stay in front of them to sort of like almost train them to send stuff to you so that you become familiar to them.
Absolutely. We have time for one more, brother.
One more.
All right. Who wants to get the last question?
We got a carrier CEO coming on next. I don't want to keep him waiting.
What? He can wait. No, I'm just kidding.
TJ, I got one.
Go ahead. Take it away.
First and last,
Scott,
Eric.
Because I'm listening to some podcasts that are from like 2021, 2022 right now. I'm curious what the most entertaining or biggest fire you've dealt with in your agency is lately.
I'm gonna plead the Fifth Amendment.
The one
on
that he wants to say he can't talk about.
Yeah,
so go with the
can't.
second most.
I'm in a legal
Fair enough.
dispute. So
yeah, there's gonna be Eric. There's gonna be a damn good podcast though once it's over, and it might already. Well, now I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a fence of, every 2 weeks there's another whatever going on that I'm having to deal with. But I would say, besides that, which I obviously for legal reasons I can't talk about, but Amy stealing the money back in 21, 22, whatever that was, I don't remember. She got 10 years in prison, but the suspended sentence, 5-year probation. She jaywalks. She goes to prison for 10 years. What else?
The jails down there in Alabama must be a little full, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Well, the way the state, those state case, but the way the state's set up down here, if you don't have a previous conviction, you just about have to murder somebody to get some damn jail time for first conviction.
Where is she working at now?
I don't know. Last I heard, she was at Panera Bread in Athens, Alabama.
In charge of the cash register?
I hope not. So that was a pretty big one. I I don't know. I haven't had a employee team member die yet during their time with me. I think I know a few agents that have had that happen. That's tragic,
Man,
obviously.
I had a guy call me last week. This is awful. I had a guy call me last week, and he's no employees.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, man, the last 2 employees I had died. And in my head, I'm going, don't say it, 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 don't say it. And I said, I wouldn't tell the next candidate that.
Well,
I wouldn't want to work for him.
Thankfully, he thought it was funny.
I'll tell you one of the most stressful things you'll ever go through as an insurance agent. To everybody listening, I've had one E&O claim, and it was a stupid mistake on our part, but something that could have happened in any of your agencies. One property was supposed to be taken off a policy, and ended up 2 properties were taken off. We had backup that showed where my producer had just accidentally sent the wrong email, had emailed the wrong verbiage to the account manager. So the policy canceled. And then about 6 months later, the guy that had that, there was no more properties on the policy. So the policy cancels. 6 months later, he has a kitchen fire and calls in the claim, and he doesn't have an active policy. But those damn E&O claims are probably some of the most stressful.
Did they take care of it?
Well, we have an E&O claim on
But
our
did
record.
they pay him?
Oh yeah, Hiscox. But that's some of the most stressful. Those possible, potential, or real E&O claims, buddy. Those things are stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Stressful.
That's why I don't understand why some people don't have their phone calls recorded.
Yeah,
like to me, that is and I've heard people say, I'd be scared what my people are saying on recorded line. I'm like, well, you don't need to employ them then.
Yeah, right.
Like they should be saying the right thing, and
Sure.
you should have somebody. The beautiful thing about AI now is you can have AI transcribe and summarize those calls, and you can review all of them pretty quickly.
Sure.
Or at least the bad ones. We have a running Slack channel that every negative or neutral phone call goes into, and our management team constantly reviews them.
Absolutely.
So, all right, you want to close this out?
All right. Guys, thank y'all for being on here today. As I close every episode, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk today. Go out into the big bad world. Become the mayor of your village. Go write good business for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, for your parents and in-laws that are struggling out there like mine are. Go write good business for them. Write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the carriers that you represent. Bradley Flowers,
Thanks,
I
man.
love you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. We love each and every one of you. Y'all have a great day, okay? Guys, you were listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family. We'll see you back here real soon. Take care.